What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on Buy Sell Cars TV. As you've already seen in the video, I've picked up the car from Nottingham, so it was a little bit of a trek. It was getting a bit dark, so again, I thought, let me just get the car brought back home because it's no good filming the car for you if it's going to get dark. So yeah, driven the car about 120 miles, so I'm going to give you my first impressions in today's video, but also there are a couple of things that need doing to this car to get it ready for sale. One is potentially more of a major issue, but we're going to get into that later on in the video anyway. So for now, let me jump out. I'm going to show you the overview of the outside, talk about the interior as well, because it does need a bit of a valet. It's not too bad, but you'll see it anyway with the clips. And then we're going to hop back in, go for a drive, and we're going to talk more things about this Corsa, and I'm going to talk you through what's going to need doing to this car to get it ready for sale. So let's get on with the video, guys. So let's start on the exterior of the car. It is a little bit dirty. Obviously, I've driven the car about 120 miles to get it brought back, but I'll just give you an overview of the current condition it's in. We've got a little bit of a scuff on the rear quarter. I don't know, this might potentially sand and polish out, but it's not end of the world. We'll get it looked at, but if I can do something about it, I will. Just a few little dinks on the door, nothing too bad, but yeah, the car's just in filthy condition. It looks quite matte, to be honest, currently, but that is just because the roads are so heavily salted and gritted. Needs a good clean, the car. But as we go over to the passenger side, it's not too bad. A little bit worse than the driver's side. We've got a little bit of rust on the corner of the arch, as well as a bit of a deeper scratch going down here, but it sort of follows through, and I do think that some of this will be able to polish out. A little bit of a car parking dink there, but I'll give you an idea of some of the scratches. I do think a lot of these will come out with a bit of T-cut. You know, you've got a couple there, a few of them over here as well, and just over there, but I'll give you a nice little close-up of those as well, so you get a good clear picture. But overall, it's actually not too bad, to be honest with you. Just like I say, it's a bit dirty, a couple of scratches, a couple of bits of rust, but overall, thumbs up for a 56 plate car. Let's check the interior out. As we go into the interior, you can see it's not actually too bad. It just, obviously, you know, carpets, yeah, they are a little bit worse for wear, but that will get sorted. But in terms of the actual upholstery, it's in pretty good condition, guys. Everything in the center console looks pretty nice and clean. Headlining, it's actually all right. Like I say, it just needs a bit of a valet, but nothing too crazy. Let's check the back out. Same going into the back as well. It's not too bad. Bit dusty, needs a good old clean, but to be honest with you, it's not too bad. You know, apart from the carpets, but expected to be dirty. There's no mats in there, but we'll get that done. We'll get it all cleaned up. Later in the video, obviously, when we do pick up the car, once it's all ready for sale, you're going to see the difference. So I will give you the before and afters off the interior, but yeah, things like the carpet, it's not a big issue. So overall, for the sort of condition of the interior, shall I say, thumbs up. Just needs a good old clean. So hopefully that's given you a good idea of the current condition of the car. Like I say, a few things which do need getting done before it's ready for sale, but it just gives you an idea of how the car is in its current state. By the end of the video, obviously, you are going to get to see the transformation. Like I say, it's going to get valeted. Some of those scratches will get T-cutted out as well. So, you know, you should be able to get to see the difference in the current state and obviously getting it ready for sale. So that's going to be later on in the video. For now, what we're going to do, we're going to hop in the car, take it for a drive, and obviously talk you through my first impressions of the car. We're also going to talk about a couple of the other things which I do need to get rectified on this car before I get it up for sale. One of which is, well, the heater doesn't seem to be working. It could be a couple of problems, but we don't know yet. We're gonna obviously have to drop it to the garage anyway for it to get serviced. So when it's there, we'll get them to check it out. But obviously, we'll get into that later on in the video anyway. Let's jump in, let's go for a drive, and let's talk about this Corsa. So, first impressions on the Vauxhall Corsa. To be honest, obviously I've driven the car like 120, maybe 150 miles now, but you know, my first impressions, the car's all right, you know, in terms of sort of the way it drives, clutch, the gearbox, everything feels quite nice. It's done 103,000 miles, but you wouldn't know when you're driving it. It feels pretty solid. For a small car anyway, it does feel pretty good, but it was sort of expected. The car's got good service history and good ownership. So you are expecting the car to drive nice. There is a chance when you are buying it blind from BCA, and it has happened in the past as well. You know, you do buy something and it's not what you're expecting. But in terms of mechanically, the way this car's driving, it's very good. The only negative was the day I went to pick it up, it wasn't a very nice day. It was quite cold, miserable. I just had a bit of obviously a long journey to go pick up the car. Expecting to get in, turn the heating on and have a nice comfortable drive home. It wasn't that at all. As I mentioned, the heating's not working on this car. It's just blowing out cold air, so it could mean multiple things. There could be an air blockage, you know, one of the coolant pipes. heater matrix. There's various things it could be, you know, but until obviously the car goes to the mechanics, I don't know. I've had a little feel of the coolant pipes, and one of them doesn't feel quite as hot as the other one, so there potentially is a chance that it is just an air blockage, which isn't end of the world necessarily. But later on in the video, we will get to the bottom of it and find out what those issues are. So that's one of the things which obviously is a bit of a negative on this car that needs doing. The other thing is that the car had no MOT. So it's a bit of a risk in that sense as well, you know, no MOT. But for me, if a car's got less than 6 months MOT, I always get it done anyway. So it's not a crazy risk, but you know, if a car's run out of an MOT and someone sort of just part exchanged it or got rid of it, it could mean that they don't have the confidence in that car, thinking it's going to fail an MOT, so they just want to get rid of it now. That is one way of looking at it, but you know, it's not always the case. But obviously I always look at the previous MOTs of the car as well, and they weren't too bad. For a 56 plate car, you can't expect necessarily, you know, super, well, tell a lie, you can. There are cars out there that still will have super clean MOTs, but it's a Vauxhall Corsa. It's a car which does get used a lot, so don't be super scared about advisories. And the other good thing is, in terms of the parts, they're not too expensive to buy for these cars, so just something to bear in mind. So the things which I knew beforehand that will need getting done to this car would be an MOT, along with any repairs that might need doing during that MOT, so you've got to factor that in, as well as getting the car serviced. So it was serviced a year ago, or just over a year ago, but again, I like to stay on top of these things. When you are selling the car, both the MOT and the service is only going to add value. So those are two things which I was aware of beforehand. The thing which I wasn't aware of and expecting was the heater issue. Now, as I said earlier, you know, it's one of those things we don't know until it goes to the garage, but it could be something cheap, it could be something expensive. So if it is expensive, it's going to eat into my margin. But if you don't want to take that chance, buy your cars privately. Look on Gumtree, Auto Trader, etc., and just buy them from private people. But that's the risk you take when you are buying cars from BCA now, because you can't physically see them, so you can't test these things, right? So the plan of action now is to get the car dropped over to the mechanics. First thing which will probably get done is get that heater investigated, just to see the extent of it, and then obviously during that time that the car is there, it's going to be MOT'd. Anything which needs to be rectified in terms of any failures will be done so at the time there, and then the car will be serviced obviously. So what we're going to do now is we're going to head over to the mechanics garage, and then we're going to pick up this video once the car's ready, and then obviously I could talk you through, you know, what the issues have been, if there are any issues in regarding to MOTs. But yeah, let's get it dropped off there, and then I'm going to catch up with you guys after. So I'll see you then. Right guys, going to keep it nice and quick. So got the car picked up from the garage, looking not too bad to be honest with you. So I've got the paperwork here, so got the service done, and at the same time obviously it was MOT'd. Initially it did fail actually on a brake light, I think it was, but obviously nothing major. A little advisory as well for a CV boot, so that's just something worth mentioning. And obviously the one thing we spoke about earlier was the heating in the car wasn't working. So I'm glad to say it's now working, but unfortunately it did cost me a water pump. So got the paperwork with me here. So I'm getting the car serviced, getting it MOT'd. That cost me £136. And then in regards to the water pump, now that was a little bit more expensive, and like I say, a cost which I was not expecting to have, but it is what it is. So the total cost of getting that done, including the labour, new coolant, and obviously the water pump itself, so that was just under £227. So I have spent quite a lot of money on getting this car ready now, so a bit more than what I was anticipating, to be honest with you. But anyway guys, that is a good breakdown of the car, things I had to get done from the mechanics and MOT, and along with the water pump, getting the heating fixed. So that's all good, all of it sorted. So let's jump out now, and I'm going to show you some shots off this car after getting it valeted, and you're going to get to see the transformation. So let's do that now. Right, so I'm going to give you a quick walk over the car again, just to show you a little bit of the difference from before and after. We did have a bit of dusty rain last night, so it's not 100%, but you're going to get the idea. So going down the driver's side, I don't know if you remember, we did have, well, we still do, but we had some marks over here. Now, I'll give you a bit of a closer up of this. It is a little bit better than before, but I tried to do the best that I possibly can in terms of getting it polished, but it's not end of the world, but just worth mentioning. Going around the back now, car's looking nice and clean. Obviously we've got the sun beaming down on it, but one of the biggest improvements was over on this side. So I don't know if you remember where we have this dent over here, we had quite a lot of scratches and marks going over here, a couple of black marks on the door as well. I'll pop them on the screen now so you can sort of compare, but a lot of that has actually gone, just from a bit of polish and a bit of elbow grease. So overall it's come out pretty good. You know, obviously it's not a brand new car, it's far from perfect, but compared to what the car was before, it's definitely looking a lot cleaner and a lot more presentable. Let's check the interior out as well. Yeah, now to me, this is where the biggest improvement has been made. The sun is beaming down, so we do have a bit of, not making it the most ideal situation to see, but you're going to get a good idea compared to what it was like before. It's a big, big improvement. And for 40, 50 quid, the difference it makes, it's money well spent. Let me show you the back as well. Again, really, really clean. I know the back wasn't the worst place to start with in the first place, but you can really just see the car just does look a lot more presentable. So overall, from before and after, thumbs up. So to conclude today's video, I think it's fair to say you can see the transition from before and after. And that's the purpose of these video guys, it's just to show you buying an old car, it looks a bit rough around the edges, and just adding value to it, tidying it up, getting a few things done such as the basic servicing things which it needs, getting it through an MOT, having a New Year's ticket, and obviously just dealing with any issues that the car has when you're buying it, because you're never going to know what you're buying until you physically have it. But ultimately, you want to buy a car where there's enough margin in there to obviously make sure that you're still going to make a profit in a worst case scenario. Now, I'm not saying every single car is going to go to plan, because it probably won't. Let's be realistic about this, especially if you're new into the business. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. Everyone does, but that's how you're going to learn. But hopefully these type of videos, just in the most basic form, just get to show you buying a car, what the current condition is, how the value is getting added, getting it ready for sale, and just showing you in its final form how it's going to be presented to the customer. Now, this is an old car, it's a 56 plate car, so you know you cannot expect it to look brand new. You're not going to start respraying bumpers and doors and getting rid of every single mark on the car, because it's just not economical to do that, and it wouldn't make sense on this type of car. What is important is that mechanically the car is running well, and cosmetically, if you can tidy a few things up to make it look more presentable, get it valeted, get it clean, get it looking fresh, it's going to make all the difference. But I hope that's come through on today's video. But also guys, don't forget, comment down below, let me know if you have any other thoughts or ideas on videos you want me to implement moving forward. Any comments, any feedback, you know, I appreciate it, and it's all love at the end of the day, so it's good to hear what you guys think. So on that note guys, I'm going to end the video here. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to smash up the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to see you on the next one. Take care guys.